If you're like me, payroll, benefits, and compliance will give you a headache unless you've got Deal. Deal PEO makes hiring in the U.S. simple. And right now, just for being a You Should Know podcast listener, you can get up to 3 months free at deal.com/workdefined. That's DEEL.com/WRK define. This is Ryan Leary, and you are listening to the You Should Know podcast. We are live at Oracle AI World in Las Vegas. And I don't know about you, but I've got to say for me, this has been probably the best event that I've been to all year. It's been super high energy. The people have been fantastic. And I got to say, the expo floor, have you been on the expo floor at all?
I have, yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. I wish I was able to sit inside some of these cars that are on the floor. I like cars, some cars, and I'm not sure what the Oracle safety car is. Do you know what that's about?
No.
It's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
It is pretty cool. I like that, whatever that big drone in the back is. So that's it. I was talking to a few people earlier today, and I think what's different for me, anyhow, about this event has been the people. I've been to a lot of sessions. I've talked to a ton of your customers, but the people that are here to learn. And I think inherently they truly believe, which is a good thing, they believe they're here to solve a problem. They're not just here because their company sent them here. And I don't think I've had that experience this year. So it's really interesting for me. That said, Nagaraj, right?
Yes.
Got that right? All right, great.
Perfect.
I always butcher names. What are you seeing this year that feels a little different for you?
Well, I think you kind of touched on it. I think people are seeing the possibility of AI.
Yeah.
And it's not accidental that we changed the name of the event to AI World. And I think our customers, partners, analysts, everybody sees the possibility of, immense possibilities of leveraging AI technology to solve real world problems.
Yeah.
And you're 100% right that the feel, the energy, it's very different this year.
It is. Yeah. It is. So the conversation that we're going to have, pretty timely. We started talking about it pre-show a little bit. I'm excited because it's the world that I grew up in, and I can relate to a lot of this. Fortunate replacement of what I used to do, because it was very much needed. But before we kick off, why don't we give the audience an idea of who you are, give an introduction, tell us what you do and what you're about.
So I'm Nagaraj Nadendala, Senior Vice President, Cloud Applications Development at Oracle. My specific responsibilities, I continue to have Taleo responsibility, as well as Oracle. You
say that with a smile.
Of course, it's a great brand. We've, it still is a very successful brand.
Yeah, it is.
While we transition our customers to Oracle Recruiting Cloud, is a new product we built several years ago. Many of them have transitioned over. In addition to that, I also have something called Oracle Communicate, which is a communication tool that's leveraged across the suite by customers. So this is product strategy, product management, development, all of the above. Yeah.
And I laugh a bit when you say Taleo, because my background, I come from Connexa and Brass Ring. And so I spent time at Connexa on the RPO side. I spent time with Brass Ring. I spent time on the assessment side and salary. So all of this, when you say this, it really brings back some memories. And this is memories from a long time ago. But we have a big announcement that came out this week. Career Coach, tell us about this.
We do. And, as we talked prior in the pre-show, I think technology has evolved to a point where, historically we've had digital assistants, kind of help the candidates, coach the candidates in some fashion or the other, but it was very discrete things, right? Some have advanced a little bit more. But with the advent of technology that's available today, I think some of the white glove treatments that recruiters used to provide, that brands extended to their candidates, for the skills that they really wanted. I think it was an exercise in let's see what's the art of possible, right?
Yeah.
And I'm always reminded of my own interactions with recruiters historically. As a technical guy, somebody would call me up and say, we heard about you from somebody. I don't have a profile, or sometimes they have a profile. Mm-hmm. And then there's a discovery process.
Yeah.
Mutually beneficial, right? So that started the journey, with this career coach. And then, we kind of continue to extend. And, this can go on and on. Initial engagement, discovery. Let's make sure the candidate is aware of the right opportunities, understands a little bit of the culture. And then as they apply, let's help them eventually get screened and interviews. And the beauty of this is with the technology now, that memory can continue through the process. And it's just like a recruiter. I talked to you 2 weeks ago. You've been selected. Let's continue the process, right?
Right.
So that was sort of the genesis. How close can we get to that?
Yeah.
And it's going to be a journey. We'll continue to push the boundaries.
Yeah. And I like how you use the word memory in that. So let me ask you this before we move forward here. When you were getting these calls from recruiters, probably 10 a day, were they good?
The good ones knew how to speak, right? Yeah. And to kind of hook you into the right opportunities, right? They'll come prepared. And, that's another takeaway for us.
Yeah.
Come prepared. If you're talking to an agent, and if the agent has memory, better give it good memory.
Right.
So the interaction is informed interaction.
Right.
So going back to your question, I think, they were standout recruiters who did a great job, right? Always come prepared, and they kind of learned about you, discovered the right things about you, whether it's location or, some other constraints, preferences and, technology you want to work, whatever it is, they would hone in on that and then come to you with the opportunities that made the most sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So was Career Coach born out of, say, candidate frustration or recruiter frustration?
I think it's a little bit of both. There's always going to be candidates that, see an opportunity and apply. And there's the candidates that'll be a little bit more thoughtful and they'll take the time and, and even for recruiters, if you're seeing a lot of applications that don't hit the mark, maybe there's a way that you can, guide the process a little bit. But how do you do that? Do it at scale, right? That's the challenge.
Right.
So a recruiter, if you have to make 100 calls a day, 200 calls a day, having that memory also is a little bit harder. At some point it becomes a problem as a human being to be able to do that at scale.
Welcome to the Hire Her podcast, where women in talent call all the shots. We know, another recruiting podcast, just what the industry needs. Okay, but hear us out. You ever spend hours sourcing that perfect candidate, but they end up ghosting you harder than your hinge date? Or finally, you get that hiring manager feedback, only for them to, of course, say, "Can we see more candidates?" Lame, right? But let's talk about what's really lame in the industry. How is it that 65% of recruiters are brilliant women, yet most of the decision makers look like a convention for middle-aged dudes named Brad?
That's where we come in. Hire Her isn't just another podcast about hiring trends you already heard like 50 times this week. We're here to elevate women in talent, share their career journeys, and make sure they take the lead. Because let's face it, if recruiting is the backbone of every company, why are we still fighting for a seat at the table? So whether you're a recruiter, a talent leader, or just someone trying to swim through the sausage fest of TA leadership, we got you, girl. Welcome to Hire Her, the recruiting podcast where women's voices aren't just heard, but they're leading the conversation.
So subscribe now, because middle management Brad sure as hell isn't going to do it for you.
Yeah, it does. And so let's stay there for a moment. So what is, as you were going through this build, what were some of the greatest, say the most challenging problems that you were trying to solve?
I think it's to provide the kind of experience, the multi-turn, discovery along the way. That probably was the most challenging.
Okay.
Right. Now, different language models and different models will give you different experiences.
Yeah.
So picking the right one, ensuring that it mimics the kind of things we want to do or enable. Now, what we do is not be all and end all. Our customers will take this and make it their own, but there's a little bit of fine tuning to get to this point.
Right. So, okay. So you mentioned the models. Now you're allowing people, so customers can choose their own model. They can use their own. They can use Oracle. How do we maintain integrity there? How do we maintain or prevent too much drift, if they're using third party?
If they're using a third party, it's typically one of the models we support. They do this for having control over what the models do, etc. Right? Generally speaking, we support all the leading models in the market. So if a customer is bringing their own model, it's to have control over where the model is hosted and what have you. So, and depending on the industry, they might have some compliance regulations and all these, considerations to think about. But generally, it's not that is less of a problem.
It's less of a problem.
Yes.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. So let's talk real quick about the experience that the recruiters are having today. And I think that's important. The audience that's going to listen to this, that's going to hear this recording once we leave, are going to be talent acquisition professionals, HR leaders, recruiters. And they're going to want to know really what's in it for me. Like, am I still going to be a recruiter? And we know that answer. But share a little bit with the recruiter that's going to be listening to this, who genuinely is a little afraid.
So AI in general, I think, I've always said this in many conversations, it's about scale and value that you can deliver. Manufacturing industry historically went from X number of cars per year to robots, cobots, went to millions of cars a year. I think that's the way to think about, and yet sustaining quality, right? So I think all of these tools are, to enable scale more so than, and recruiting teams and recruiters in particular, I haven't come across a recruiter who's happy to see 1,000 applications, right?
I have not myself. I'm not going to stand by.
They'd like to see a curated, qualified set of candidates. At least there's some process that they've gone through to begin with, which I think makes their follow-on activities a lot more easier.
Right.
So this is an aid, is how we think about this.
Of course.
Right? And if you aid the candidate to help them select the right opportunities, that also reduces the burden on the recruiters subsequently.
Yeah. So fun fact, you mentioned cars and the auto lines. For whatever reason, now you may know this and hear this and say, what's wrong with this guy? Horse and buggies. Okay. It never occurred to me there were horse and buggy dealers.
Yeah.
It never occurred to me. I just assumed everybody made their own buggy and put their horse on it. It never occurred to me. Oh, anyhow, I know we're tight on time today. Last question. We're sitting here next year, 2026, same room, same setup. What does success look like? How do you know this was successful over the first 12 months?
I think for us, success would be our customers adopting at scale. Every customer will go through a process. Given its AI, given its agents, they'll go through governance processes internally. To me, the technology will continue to advance, but it's the governance processes of our customers that will ultimately dictate. But we've showcased this to many customers. There's a lot of interest. It's they have to get past the internal hurdles to get to this.
Sure.
I think it's easy to deploy. We've seen some customers, based on some of the more recent investments we made with generative AI, there's been some fantastic, unexpected growth and adoption. So we are very, very optimistic that there'll be a lot of real career coaches being deployed across the globe.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think recruiting teams want this.
Yeah.
They're not afraid of it. There's a person or two that are afraid of it in the organization that becomes the bottleneck. But by and large, I mean, everyone that we talk to, all talent teams want this. They know they need it, and they're wide open to the discussion. So Nagaraj, thank you so much. I appreciate the time and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.